Today in our 5-minute guide, I'll explain the importance of recap and how to do it properly using an example case. Recap is the first step to open a case interview. If you haven't watched my video on how to open a case interview, please check out the link in the description. This is a follow-up to that video. Many case interview beginners would set themselves up for bad performance within just 30 seconds by mixing up recap and clarification or skipping the recap entirely. That's like cooking a dish without first laying out and preparing the necessary ingredients, instead running back and forth between the stove and the fridge as you cook. The risks are different, however. If you don't cook in an organized way, at worst you'd burn the dish, along with perhaps a few dollars worth of ingredients and a few minutes of cooking time. But if you make the same mistake in a case interview, you bomb the case. That's because by forgetting to recap properly or mixing it up with clarifications, you will look very unorganized and make a bad impression on the interviewer. You will also increase the chance of missing or misunderstanding important information, sometimes missing the very problem itself. So, what's the best way to do it? As you may have guessed by now, you should have an explicit and separate recap step when you start a case interview. The singular purpose of this step is to collect, translate, and organize the information given to you by the interviewer. The best practice is to organize the given information into buckets, such as client, problem, objective, and other information. This step would help guide your clarification later on. Try to identify key information. Sometimes the case prompt can be very long and wordy. Along the way, you should verbally rephrase the information into something more digestible for you, of course, while still preserving the original meaning. This is to make sure you internalize the information and not just remember it. You should also do this in writing while you are listening to the interviewer and performing the recap. Set aside a separate piece of paper just for this. Let me show you an example of how this works in practice. For each example, you will first listen to a simulated case opening exchange between an interviewer and a candidate. You should have your pen and paper ready as if attending a real interview. Try to note down as much as possible and be as organized as possible. After the prompt stops, you should pause the video and present a recap like a real candidate. Then unpause, watch the candidate do his part, and compare it with yours. Ideally, you should at least be able to capture the same key information with minimal effort. Prepare your pen and paper and let's practice. Are you ready? Let's go. Fort Zero, abbreviated as F-Zero, is a Canadian online store that distributes motorcycle parts, as well as riding gears and accessories. Its offerings go from helmets, coats, and gloves to aftermarket tires, fairings, and exhausts. For the last 5 years, the company has grown in revenue significantly, mainly due to its success in content marketing, with its 2 million subscriber YouTube channel now regarded as one of the best motorcycling content channels. However, this growth has been gradually slowing down. In fact, the slowdown started 3 years ago, but worsened significantly last year. As such, the CEO of F-Zero has hired us. Let's say we are a small local boutique firm to help figure out a strategy to help renew the revenue growth. How would you structure it? Now pause the video and present your recap. Okay, hopefully you have done a recap of your own. Here's my version.
Thank you for the case. Before I answer your question, I would like to spend a few minutes recapping and clarifying the case so I can decide on the most efficient approach. Is that okay for you?
Sure, go on.
Thanks. First, I'll recap the case to make sure I get all the important details right. So, our client is called Fort Zero, and they are a motorcycling gear and parts online store. They have a very successful YouTube channel with 2 million subscribers. This has in turn led to revenue growth. Our problem is that growth has slowed down, first about 3 years ago, and last year the decline worsened significantly. The objective for us is to help them regain previous levels of growth. Did I miss anything?
No, that's about it. Now, one final tip before the video ends. You can take note of the information as spoken, that is, in the same order that it's given to you, and collect as much as possible. Try to use recognizable short forms so it's easier to keep up with the interviewer's speech. Once the interviewer has stopped, you can ask for a few seconds, use your pen to mark and label key pieces of information, then present your recap. Like this. Fort Zero, abbreviated as F-Zero, is a Canadian online store that distributes motorcycle parts, as well as riding gears and accessories. Its offerings go from helmets, coats, and gloves to aftermarket tires, fairings, and exhausts. For the last 5 years, the company has grown in revenue significantly, mainly due to its success in content marketing, with its 2 million subscriber YouTube channel now regarded as one of the best motorcycling content channels. However, this growth has been gradually slowing down. In fact, the slowdown started 3 years ago, but worsened significantly last year. As such, the CEO of F-Zero has hired us. Let's say we are a small local boutique firm to help figure out a strategy to help renew the revenue growth. This is how you should structure the case prompt. Going by this route instead of adhering to a previous structure, it's particularly useful when the case prompt is long or the interviewer delivers it in a conversational manner. If you haven't used this technique for the previous example, you can go back and give it a try. Remember, keep practicing and you will make it to consulting. If you like our contents, don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on your notifications to receive our latest updated videos. We also have a consulting community. Follow the in the description to connect with cool, like-minded people and experts. At M Consulting Prep, we believe that everyone can make it to consulting. Are you a believer?